Ah, yes. That's so much better. Hey, how you doing, folks? Welcome back to Monkey Shine Lab. I sat through a movie last night with my wife, and I'm just gonna really quick, do a review of what I saw. If you're familiar with how I like to review movies, I don't spoil anything. The only thing I would ever use in terms of imagery is stuff that's easily Googleable images. Okay. You won't see any of that because I believe in the sanctity of the art. So I don't want to break anybody's copyright images or any of that nature, and I don't want to screw up the film for somebody else who might want to watch it. Okay, but this is what I like to call a freelance primate film review. It's because we watched it here in our home, and we call our theater room the Freelance Primate movie theater. It's a long story. Most things around me are. What I wanted to say, the movie The Flash. Wait, before you leave. Really, I wanted to talk about this really quickly, real briefly, because there's been a tremendous amount of bad press around Ezra Miller for good reason. He is a walking calamity. He's this age's who was the guy who partied himself out of James Bond? George Lazenby. Look it up. Only managed to be James Bond once, and oddly enough, one of my favorites. But this is about the most recent DC cinema outing, Flash, and I have not thought any of the stuff that Warner has been doing lately arrives at any sort of serious art. And what I go into it hoping for, I hope that it will be entertaining. Okay, so when I see something like the first Aquaman film, I am super surprised, but it was really good. Okay, and a lot of the time when a movie gets reviewed, it can be critics can be just horrible to anybody even trying to do a certain type of film anymore. And I understand all of the burnout surrounding superheroes in general and Batman and everything, but I sat down to watch The Flash with my wife. I've been avoiding trailers, I've been avoiding reviews until I could see it for my own, okay? And I'm not a Flash super fan, but I do have quite a few issues of the comic book. I have the 90s series on DVD somewhere around here. I have watched a lot of the WB TV show of recent years. So I'm familiar with it, okay? And I'm also familiar, unfortunately, with Ezra Miller, which I had always sort of felt was one of the weakest links in the Justice League films. The character never really gelled for me until, say, Justice League, and actually the best takes that he did were used in the trailer and not actually in the first go around of the film. So you really sort of miss any brilliance in his performance. And physically, they handled the effects just awful. You can see where he was accentuating his running because he was told to do so, but it looks awkward. It doesn't look like he's actually going to achieve any speed running at all. And they sort of make fun of it at one point in the film, like how dumb his run looks. This movie has gotten a tremendous amount of press because of Michael Keaton. But I think that the really, truly wonderful stuff goes by pretty quickly in a lot of the effects, in a lot of the possible realities that they show. And all the while, as they're giving you yet another multiverse explanation that you just don't need anymore at this point, they have a lot of fun with it. And I feel like all of the takes on all of the characters were fresh. And I feel like physically, Ezra Miller did a good job on this film. I think that his performance was strong, and it's rather sad in a way too, because at one point he's addressing himself. Everybody should know that part by now, that the Flash time travels. And he addresses himself as a younger man. And you can almost see parallels to, what are you doing trashing your career? With the advent of James Gunn taking over everything in terms of Warner's TV and movies, and giving the axe to everything, I can understand why people would see this movie and put the brakes on and say, no, I don't even need to see that, because they're rebooting everything, so none of that matters, and I didn't like it in the first place anyway. I would urge you to change your mind and go back and watch that movie, because The Flash is entertaining. Okay, it's a rarity in superhero movies where they can really strike a balance between being goofy ass funny and being deadly ass serious, and in the meantime and all the while show you something kind of new. I'm not going to wreck any of the gigantic reveals in this, and there are a lot more, a lot bigger, you might say, than Michael Keaton. As a sort of a side note, the girl who plays Supergirl, the woman who plays Supergirl, is fantastic. The character is really good and a reflection of what has been happening to her up until the point where she comes into the story. And I don't think it gets enough credit that, Kara is played really well. And remember, this is a multiverse thing. If you've seen my thing about the doom that came to Gotham,
you will know in that I said that there were various cameos in that, in terms of good and the good guys and the bad guys in the Batman pantheon, as well as little touches on the Lovecraft good and the good guys and the bad guys in the Batman pantheon, as well as little touches on the Lovecraft thing, which really brought it home as a fan of either. It didn't really work ultimately.
Go watch that review. Why am I saying any of this? The Flash is a good movie. The effects are solid. The acting is sharp. The surprises, reveals, and oh shit moments are fantastic. And if you don't know anything about the bits and pieces I'm talking about in the movie, do yourself a favor and do like my wife and I did. Stay away from the trailers, stay away from the reveals. Go watch the movie, okay? I actually saw it on Amazon. It is right now, if you have Amazon Video, it is part of your plan, so you can go watch it there. And I would assume that it's available a variety of other places as well. I actually fully intend to pick up a Blu-ray copy of this as soon as I can. Because it's that good. It's that good. And I will probably be watching it again a time or two more on Prime. But here's an instance where I didn't have to watch a movie 3 times. I was ready to hate on it. I was ready to dislike Ezra Miller, and I was waiting for Michael Keaton, and actually the whole thing put the brakes on and said, wait a minute, we've got a pretty good Flash story to tell here as well. And if you've seen the TV show and you're familiar with the comic books, maybe there won't be a ton of surprises in the, you know, the over arc, the long shot arc, but there are some amazing moments that you have to see. You have to sit through if you are a DC fan. It's just that good. And it's a shame that it won't go on any further. But it's a pretty nice swan song for the old DC cinematic universe. Ezra Miller. There's even a pretty funny post-credit scene. So stick around through it. Anyway, thank you very much for coming out and checking out this movie review of The Flash. I say sit through it. It's a long film, but it moves fast. It's a lot like Aquaman that way. It's worth checking out. Anyway, folks, I got another thing to sit down here and start to film, but I really appreciate it when you come out here and check us out. And if you're interested in more of our movie reviews, we do have playlists on our channel page, so please feel free to check those out. Leave a comment, even if it's to say, hey man, I can't disagree with you more, because I'm actually not that hard to talk to. Ask my wife. Or maybe don't. Yeah, don't. See you later, everybody. Bye.